Climate change has emerged as one of the most pressing issues in Zambia affecting socio-economic development. The country is already experiencing climate-induced hazards, which include drought and dry spells, seasonal and flash floods, and extreme temperatures. Some of these hazards, especially the droughts and floods, have increased in frequency and intensity over the past few decades and have adversely impacted on the food and water security, water quality, energy, and sustainable livelihoods of rural communities. Gwembe district in Southern Province has not been spared from experiencing climate change. The district, which is located in a valley, is vulnerable to the adverse impacts of climate change as a result of its geographical location, the multiple socio-economic stresses it is subjected to, and its low adaptive capacity. As is the case for most rural setups, agriculture and its subsector, the livestock sector, plays a pivotal role in the socio-economic development of Gwembe district. Smallholder farmers, for the most part, dominate the livestock sector, especially production of small ruminants such as goats, and at household level, the sector's role goes beyond the provision of food and nutrition in people's diets to act as a risk buffer in providing an alternative source of income in case of crop failure, which is very common in the district. Though goat rearing in Gwembe district performs a wide range of economic and social functions, low productivity among the smallholder livestock farmers is a source of concern for various stakeholders. The Center for Trade Policy and Development, Ctpd, is a non-profit membership-based trade policy think tank established in 2004, which aims at promoting equitable pro-poor trade policies and practices in Zambia through trade reform at national, regional, and international levels. Ctpd Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo has noted with concern that climate change is one of the major factors contributing to low productivity for farmers in Gwembe district.
We have noticed from some of the places we are working, places such as Gwembe, that the people are now beginning to interface with the challenges coming from changes related to the climate. And one of the challenges that this has posed includes the pattern for rainfall being affected, and a number of them having challenges to grow their crops like the way they were growing in the past. And as a result, a number of them are trying to find ways through which they can survive and adapt to the negative externalities of climate change. So some of the ways through which they're trying to respond includes switching to livestock production, and common in most of these places includes the rearing of goats, not only for consumption purposes, but they rear these animals for business. And a place like Gwembe is where you find a lot of farmers that are growing or rearing goats, and these goats have got specific places in terms of where they are sold. There are a number of traders that come through to these places to buy them, and they sell them to places like Kasumbalesa.
Goats are the most popular owned livestock by smallholder farmers in Gwembe district. A local traditional leader, headman Mutinta Mande, attributes this to their ability to utilize a broad range of feed resources and adapt to adverse weather conditions that consists of long dry spells and high temperatures.
That's why into wujibwa he hino hago kuno uli buyu nga into kede so kambo ti oro munke muri mbachimanda uti mujite kambwa gupya tahendi gaboto bantu bajanika mu bwampenzi penza uti bantu balance maningi amagana amapenza chauti bukale buli shupite songa kuyanda uti ndiza otherwise munyo wabugu yabuno tinga tinga naba baguluba mutana bamuyihaye hoti kuti ngatwayita yeji ni gupya bobo twasora kuti ni kuyabuntu nanona mbucyane bati bantu bali mu mapenzi masimpeni kwa hapa bantu bibajita kuno barali mambo munobo ali mwakwa guhuba mambo munobo soja uti barahuba mpongo tungombe tunkugu agulima nubati gulima kamba uti ngatwasiga jindiro mwalima kamba abula himintu hagukwa he yautinga ngabaga botu iho bali abala omane kwapya bunji bwa hindi tujanika uti mapenzi walimawa no gutebulaga botu walima mubunja wanzo wati hangenzo hanga natu binzi tu nzotu wina gutebulaga botu kambuga zuba ipya maningi no bati mubuhubi bumunobo twabununa nuna no batinga buhubi bulansa abolo bula maningi be atawu wasike bareza.
Another traditional leader, headman Sibuku Mwemba, adds that goat rearing presents an excellent opportunity for income generation among the poor rural households because of poor weather conditions and increasing land constraints in the district, which results in high crop failure.
Mpongo zina zikuru zezi amene zipanga ndalama kuti muntu akadye bwino azidi apa mene apo pambuzi pambiri baponera pambuzi kati kulitandizo la uti bantu bakatandizikwe ni mbuzi kapena apo bantu bakakale bwino tulaba yiha kayigulabora tubunga twamba uti mujiteje na kuya tukomba kama mwe hatukomba baratuyiha uti mwe hatukomba inga olonhula ije uti yawagale tukomba menda alategera kuti yakulya jira onkajira komera.
Droughts and other climate risks have significantly reduced yields for farmers like Sonia Bukowa and her family, making life difficult. With her farm production dwindling, Bukowa was forced to find an alternative income to keep her family afloat.
In a business yanga, nimagula mbuzi, nipeleka kulusaka. So, ninayambapo business yo gula mbuzi. Ninaona ma problems yanga mu life. So nigula mbuzi very 6 chabe. So nagula mbuzi very 6 napeleka ku Lusaka pobwera na pasa bana baenda ku sikulu. So ndiye business yanga hiyo. Na njala yonse kapena kwa uyo mwaka kulibe kulima. So chabe mu business ya mbuzi. Ya mene nitandiza mu life yanga. Kulima kairi mbuzi vija tuchita chabe atupeleke bana ku school. Kulima na kweve sunga si. Kairi umuntu ngati salima nishalina ma problems ya mbili wapeleka mbuzi ku Lusaka ufuna tupeleke bana ku school na kudya pamene. Maybe ugula chabe mbuzi 5. Manje ukakunga kwanise upase mwana ende ku school ukule tumasaka twa milisi sunga kwanise.
Her story is not very different from other locals. In the face of rising climate risks and unprecedented adversity, most people living in Gwembe Valley are determined to change their situation.
Kusaiti kubulimi, boninga ndiramba byo kuzwaga indi, kwagati kubenka kuliga botu, ino emyaga ihabu hei kuno Gwembe district kuvari kuno, inhola yataya kushupa. Taere na muma district mumwe muma province mumwe. So nokuboti tuli balimi nokuli buyumu buliko maninga agamboga nkona ni honto maningi ati turasoreka kulima ati no chotwa hoya ntwabona kuti bulimi inkola yaje atwateya kuhoya kuhuba mpongo mbubo ili strong kuno ku side menda ala shupa bati kuno kuvari ku Gwembe ijatiki ya mpongo ta ishupi maningipe oroguhwa burwazi mbubo irinde na ng'ombe mbohihwa pongo hiri strong ona alimu hiraho mbana gunyamuna muntu kambo hirahara ndiza twice ona himwi buboto bwa nyo himwi hirahara tutu so hiragwa hiriha mu bukare bwesu ujatiki habulimi.
Not only do the farmers rear and sell goats to put food on their table, but they are also able to use the goat manure as fertilizer in their small gardens. This is allowing them to grow vitamin-rich vegetables in abundance, provide their children with valuable source of protein from the goat meat, and improve climate resilience and nature-friendly farming practices.
Mbuli kulima kwesu turasikia magomba mbulimbo batuyiha bamwe babola agulipinga mbo tujita sikia magomba twamana kusikia magomba mutugomba muyakambo ingabona fertilizer tairinji njo tutyani njo tujisi mutugomba tuya turabweza buhumba bwa mpongo buya turabika munya mutugomba muya utegwa mwahanga jaguriya gajibaga boto gaji tasubiripe mbo tujita turalima maira nyemu amapopwe anyabo.
However, goat rearing is not without challenges. Many rural families cannot obtain loans from mainstream financial institutions to cope with the effects of extreme weather patterns. They are poor, lack the required collateral, and are viewed as high risk, compounding the challenges they face.
Business CSA mapenzi biyonga guti agamboga gagutali magaboto gamboga hula impongo twahihundiki hamaningi so gwabula ba makampana aleta oromaroni za mpongo byoti ihule agutwetera breed ibenka ilinyamugite yagutindiza yomwenga wesambaro 600 kona guno ngandoro 80 so pali penzi pali buyumuyumu makapito mahondo.
Furthermore, the rearing of goats is affected by high disease incidences and mortality rates. This has adverse effects on the herd sizes and limits the farmers' ability to be competitive in livestock markets. The Department of Livestock Development in Gwembe District is aware of some of these challenges. Ladislas Soko, livestock technician, says the department is able to provide veterinary services for farmers. However, farmers need to buy their own medication.
In Gwembe District, so far we are below the target in which we are supposed to meet. Looking at the terrain of Gwembe District, it's arid area. The best livestock sector can try to enhance here, like this small ruminants, which are goats and sheep. But for cattle, you need to go for local breeds, which have acclimatized or adapted to this terrain, this rangeland we have in Gwembe District. Because it's a varied district, meaning the temperatures are high and the pastures and forage areas are a bit scarce for the animals to survive. For small ruminants, the terrain is conducive because they are foraged most from the shrubs, even the grasses. They can survive on those and reach through availability of water. But for the large animals like cattle or dead animals, all those, it's very hard for them to survive because the grasses are scarce for them to feed. But for the goats, it's the best terrain for you to enhance the productivity. As a department, we're offering in different technologies which are found in our department in terms of improved livestock technologies for them to survive, in terms of feeding technologies they need to survive, also technical aspect in terms of disease control. They can come to the office in collaboration with the Department of Veterinary Services. They can get the advice that they can control the diseases which are prone to goats, and also issue of productivity for feeding and the genetics they need to increase in their animals.
District Agriculture Coordinator Imbua Mushewa notes that despite the challenges faced in the district, the Ministry of Agriculture is offering support to the local goat farmers.
So what we were doing actually in Gwembe, we were promoting conservation of agriculture. We have as a district during the agricultural productivity and market development project, we have provided 2 motorized sets of equipment to 2 cooperatives, namely Koma and Bunyete. these have come with all the accessories. The reason being that we want to encourage our farmers to be reaping, because the advantage of reaping is that you do not disturb the whole, soil structure. You just reap where you're going to plant, and you are also able to capture more moisture. You do not disturb the whole, soil structure, meaning that the microorganisms that assist us in the soil will be safe, as opposed to plowing where you expose them to a lot of heat. Most of them will die, and so they will not be there to do what they're expected to, do. Well, we are promoting, irrigation. We have 4 sites where we are actually promoting mini irrigation schemes. So those sites have actually been, surveyed, boreholes have been sunk, 4 at each of those sites. So what is remaining now is just to, install the water reticulation system. We are hoping to promote actually drip irrigation in those 4 sites as a way of actually, mitigating against the effects of, climate change, which are mostly here in Gwembe drought. So once farmers have the irrigation systems, they can be able to actually produce throughout the year. So those are some of the things that we are doing. The only thing we can do is to encourage them through their local leadership so that, if possible, they can be heading the animals throughout the year, which will mean, the fencing and all those issues will not, be, of a necessity.
However, the challenges do not end with the rearing of goats. The marketing channel for goats is over 80% informal. This affects the prices that farmers and traders receive.
Kwamba kuchipa mpongo zirachipa. Kambo mpongo iragwa agurwa kwa 250. 250 kuti yadura 300 kuti hanjira na mubunji maga January so bana bachikoro ni baanda kuchula mbuli mwezi wa mu January ingangufuru mpongo. So yakuti myulo iragata yakumwambira kuti mutwambire difference na mutwambire igwimpana kuligo. Igwimpana kuligo mekunda jana mbonda munda musandurida kuti ndatalika mu March, April, May ndasika mu June ndaima. Kuti pondi bona kuti at least awenga ambichani bengo balance. Kuti January wina cheninga ndamba kambo myulo kuno na mpongo yurwa 350 akwalogo yawe kuyisambala 350 mukuti iyamali njwerede kuti ujana ubike munkomwe wapasi mota wapasi sikola plus wakubika osani namwita kutagoga kusiyeka boto.
Further, because the choice of the marketing channel used by the farmer has a bearing on the price received and the gross margins, farmers that opt to sell to small-scale traders within the district complain about the low prices that are offered by the traders, and this discourages some of the farmers from selling their animals.
Sambaliro uno magana kuti watola nao ndaula mponga ndatola ukasumbadeza nao kuulusaka lipanga losi pongo anza kulonda yula 300 pamoja nda usende anza 150 amana yali kwa malonse bulidani kana budget yangu nyinda yangite yonse yafidilira mu business tairondoro yipe magana kuti transport ituladulirwa.
Additionally, the choice of which marketing channel to use is influenced by the head size of the animals. Farmers and traders with big head sizes are more likely to sell their goats outside Gwembe district, as far as Kasumbalesa, the border town between Congo DRC and Zambia.
Profit njendi jana ni kuba kuti ndisambalira munzi ndibona kuti ngambupo winda kutola kulusana Kasumbalesa. Kamba kuti ndaisambala mpongo ngu 400 kwacha wina jinji chendi luzape. Kamba kuti mpongo yalijerere elike.
Other constraints such as transport and local levies prevent the majority of farmers from accessing markets outside Gwembe district.
Ndrama ni ngono ni kalipo pesa na kukairi kuja kufunika ati ukanyamuka wanyamuka na mbuzi oro 20 so kairi ni jane ni tani. Transporti kutunyambule na mbuzi so ufunika wapezeka na ndrama ikuru wagura mbuzi oro 20 so nishi ungaona ati wachitacha bwino.
Gwembe District Council Deputy Treasurer Andrew Mbewe says the levies that goat farmers pay are one of the ways the local authority generates income.
The trade of goats is very high. Gwembe Valley I think maybe probably the nature of the terrain, or maybe being a valley, maybe because animals are found in the valleys, it's like there's a high multiplication of goats. So there's really a high number of goats here in Gwembe. And I would say it's one of the sources that we rely on as a council to collect our levy from this.
Once the levies are paid, goat farmers are then allowed to transport their commodity outside the district to places such as Kasumbalesa. A visit to Kasumbalesa border town, where goat farmers and traders prefer to sell goats, reveals that the small market here is a hive of activity for the goat farmers and traders. Bodwell Moyo, a transporter, gives us a picture of how often the farmers are transporting the goats and approximately how much it costs.
Hapa napanga mpindu ya mbili maningi pa transportation ya mbuzi. Because hapa inaleta hapa na already na mbuzi zenze 235. Yalo mbuzi mozi kunyama transport za zikulu 100 kwacha za zingono ma 80 kwacha mozi mbuzi. So mkaka create mbuzi amena ita 235 za kupasa ndama yone nanya mla geni na vankuku pamwamba paja pateni na paka vichani vankuku pamwamba visangala kwacha vijavili paja.
Charles Hisali, a local crow owner who also acts as a middleman between the goat traders in Kasumbalesa and buyers from Congo DRC, says commercialization of goats yields positive net income. However, the magnitude of the margins accrued to the farmer is lower than other actors in the value chain.
Me, I own a crow where farmers come and sell their small livestock. Yes, small livestock like goats, pigs, commercial pigs, village chicken, guinea fowls, turkeys, ducks, everything like small livestock. Business here is just okay, but you know, sometimes I think of maybe we must have, especially to the side of the farmers, those traders, I think workshops must be there to teach them. I think in knowledge, you know, some they bring, we don't allow small goats here. At least we bring big goats. There are no scales here. We just help them because some of us, like the owners last, we have experience. So we know that sometimes we teach them, you are supposed to buy at this price there at the village in farms.
A quick survey at the market also reveals that there is no standardized pricing for the goats. Charles Kakoma, Cross-Border Traders Association Trade Policy Advisor in Kasumbalesa, says in most cases, the size of the goats determines the prices. These factors therefore limit the farmers' ability to invest and expand their livestock production.
Kasumbalesa in the first place is the biggest market so far in this country for small livestock like goats. But there are a few things that need to be done in terms of policy direction. Because our traders or our farmers, when they bring goats here, they have a lot of challenges that need to be attended to for them to grow in their businesses. The first challenge that I can put forward is that of this market here is not an open market for livestock traders. It's like this is a monopolized kind of business. Whereas when the small-scale traders bring their goods here, they have to agree on a price that is between the trader and the owner of the kraal where these goods are sold from. So now these prices are not favorable to traders in the sense that when they agree, for example, is guided to sell at 700-800 kwacha per animal. But when they've agreed those terms, then the trader will get seated and wait until the animals are sold by the owners of the kraal. Now these owners will be selling it to the Congolese who are buyers, and when they come, they will sell maybe probably at 1,500, 1,200, 1,100. but the price for the trader remains the same at 700 as agreed between the two. So you can imagine such a difference of, for example, between 1,500 and 800 kwacha. There is a difference of about 700 kwacha. That money does not go in the pocket of the trader. It goes in the pocket of the owner of the kra and the middleman, which are in between. So this is the biggest challenge, because we want to see these traders grow in their businesses. Otherwise, most of them make losses.
It is evident that despite all these bottlenecks, small livestock rearing is suited for the rural farm households to invest in. Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, has been working in Zambia's remote areas, including Gwembe district, to help find practical solutions to some of the problems that the rural communities are facing. Country Director Kennedy Habasimbi believes that some of the challenges that the farmers of Gwembe district are facing can be addressed from simple resolutions such as training and easy access to markets, among others.
Our experience with the communities in the Gwembe Valley particularly are that, first of all, issues of underdevelopment and the issues of disease control, but also above all, issues of market. Personally, I've seen a number of small right trucks, laden with goats all the time, and these are coming from Gwembe. Of course, they go and buy from house to house. And so I foresee a situation where if the market is well structured, the farmers would benefit more from selling goats, because at the moment they are just selling from these middlemen who move maybe from house to house. And because they followed them there, even the negotiation power for the price range becomes a challenge, because they don't have that information on the goat price. And so they depend on this, buyer who's come and will tell them, oh, for this much, I can only pay this much. And because they have, lack of knowledge on the prices where the markets are, they will just agree to whatever, is being offered there. So we feel if the knowledge on the market prices is available to these farmers, it may also spur production, because at the moment maybe they just sell to offset some of the challenges they may be facing temporarily. But if they know that a goat fetches more money, probably that will even push them to produce more and maybe even get quality goats, because they know that if you have a good goat, then it will help in getting a better income.
Climate Smart Economic Empowerment (CSEE) program is an initiative contributing towards sustainable development by addressing interlinked problems of food insecurity and negative effects of climate change. Kinsley Cello, Senior Program Coordinator, CSEE, explains how the program is creating safer and more resilient communities. He also explains how the organization is working with other stakeholders like Ctpd to promote livestock farming as an alternative livelihood for farmers.
So the first one is where the smallholder producers are able to increase their income levels through value chains and markets, so that within the identified value chains, they should be able to explore the opportunities, harness those opportunities, and at the different levels of the value chains, they are able to exploit whatever benefits that accrue. And then secondly, we deal with the market constraints that inhibit their abilities to maximize the benefits from there. So by attending to their capacities to produce efficiently and effectively, and also by dealing with the market constraints, then it helps to have all the benefits accrue to a farmer that need to.
Patrick Musole, Executive Director for Zambia Land Alliance, notes that Gwembe District has adequate land, though not without challenges.
I think in terms of land, I would say there is adequate land in Gwembe District. The only challenge is that the land that is there is customary land, and as you are aware, a customary land is not documented. Therefore, the land tenure there is very insecure. And so when it comes to investment into that land, people tend to hesitate because they know that they may lose it at any time. So that's the only challenge that I see. But in terms of land, there is actually adequate land which is under customary tenure in Gwembe district.
He highlights some of the solutions to these problems.
So I think in terms of solutions, I would suggest that they need to set aside land specifically for grazing, so that people with who into livestock are able to have adequate land for grazing, and they can look after their livestock. Yes, I think other solution that can be made is just making livestock a priority area, considering that Gwembe is most cases struck by drought. It experiences a lot of drought, so crop production may not be as productive as livestock. So I think as a solution, I would suggest that livestock production be prioritized to be even at equal in terms of priorities as crop production.
Ctpd Executive Director Mwaipopo takes us through some of the efforts being made by the organization to help improve goat farming and trade in rural communities like Gwembe District.
Our recommendation from the Center for Trade Policy and Development is that we need to work on ways to expose the farmers to some of these places, and exchange visits would actually go a long way in helping the farmers to get to appreciate or understand the business that happens in places where their animals are taken to. Otherwise, left on their own, a number of traders would be taking advantage of these livestock traders, and they would be actually making huge sums of money from the animals that they are rearing.
He further observes that the estimated gross margins for goats shows that net gain from commercialization of small ruminants is positive. However, a lot still needs to be done in order to improve the goat farming business.
But added to that is a big agenda that we need to pursue as a country, which focuses on value addition. We need to think of ways through which we can take advantage of the livestock subsector and try and create job opportunities, ensure that we improve the quality of the breeds that we are rearing, and beyond that, we help to identify lucrative markets where they can export beyond the domestic market needs. If you remember very well, there was a proposal from government that countries like Saudi Arabia had expressed interest to be importing goat meat from Zambia. But up to now, we do not know what has happened to some of those policy pronouncements. So we need to actually take some of those into consideration. With regards to the recent changes that have happened, with regards to policy direction with the coming in of the new administration, our appeal from the Center for Trade Policy and Development is that they should come up with strategic measures and plans that can help to grow this subsector, because it is not only helping as an adaptation measure in response to challenges related to climate change, but it is a subsector that can create wealth, that can create jobs for the local people, and help to improve the quality of life for our people in the rural areas.
Climate-induced changes to physical and biological systems are already exerting considerable stress on the country's vulnerable sectors, such as wildlife, agriculture, and food security. Climate variability undermines attempts to reduce poverty and food insecurity, since most of Zambia's poor population consists of rural small-scale farmers who rely on agriculture. Temperatures also indicate a rising trend with potential for increased heat stress, land degradation, and desertification. Such impacts are likely to compound the daunting economic and social challenges the country already faces. Therefore, actions to minimize the potential future impacts of climate change are critical and must be done with a sense of emergency.